19 Keys, and this is high-level conversation. Library.
Well, what you're saying is very, very powerful. So he just said what I just came out here and said, what Dr. John Henrik Clarke said, and Dr. Amos Wilson. The whole purpose of a culture is to cultivate. It is solving problem and meeting the needs of a people. What is the problem in America, and what is the problem with the black community in America? High disease rate. What is causing disease? It's the food, because we're eating like another people and we're out of our indigenous mindset. So we need to start teaching people how to eat correctly for their biology. What is the next thing? It's the high incarceration rates. Why are people going to jail? Because they feel they got to rob, steal, and sell drugs to actually make a living for their family. So we need to create funding programs and create businesses to offer our brothers and sisters jobs. You see that? So that's the whole thing we sitting here trying to say today. For us to revamp or recreate the culture, we have to figure out the problems that's going on in the community, and then we need to actually teach an education to actually solve those problems. Our issue is we don't have the skills to solve the problems that's in the community because we too busy solving everybody else's problem but ours. Think about that. How many doctors and how many lawyers are you sending to school that ain't even of your own ethnicity? And then you get sick and you go to the doctor and they don't have nothing to tell you because you don't even have a fund with $1 billion to even study your molecular biology, to even study what your melanin do in your body, to even study how your vitamin D3 work, to even study about carboxylic acid. See that? We studying amino acids. All of the funds that we are funding everybody else is going to better them and their generational wealth. And none of the money is staying in our community, so we can't benefit from a piece of it. And that's all we're trying to say. So if our culture is dismantled, if our culture is not functioning right, and we're not elevating to expand our consciousness because the whole entire universe is expanding and we're not expanding with it in a good way, then we need to stop and look at the culture and say, what's stopping us from growing? All right, now we done identified the problem. Now it's time to educate ourselves on the solutions and then put people in positions to help solve those problems. Now, guess what we just did? We just cultivated. That's called coaching.
Facts.
I know y'all wanted to hear about food and, vegan burgers.
Yeah.
And I know what they wanted to hear.
We only got an hour and 15, so we got to give you the high level, right? But we definitely will be back together. And when we do, I would love to have Billy do his own presentation. You do your own presentation. I do mine, to where the people can get properly fed. Yeah. But I want to talk about, while we got some time left, as we talk about culture and we talk about the shifts happening, I want to talk a little bit about a spiritual awakening. Because I think a lot of us, we deny that we're very spiritual people. If I ask people, they can't even define it, number one. I'm spiritual, what does that mean? I don't know, I thought that was enough. Spirit is breath, number one. Ki, chi, energy, it's to breathe. If we are people of melanin and we have skin conductors that creates electricity that then operates within a certain rhythm, so therefore this is why we have rhythm in our breathing and why we move, the way we say things. The way we walk, the way we talk, everything is operated because we drip everything in our spirit. But to have a spiritual ascension, right, to where we're not just utilizing our spirit to influence the world, but it doesn't come back to us. We then have to then turn spirit into matter. We have to materialize things. So we have to say, in order to be industrious, organizations only fear organization. And we're not an organized people. We're going to be yelling at the world, asking them to do for us what we can do for ourselves. So as a people that materialize, you say, okay, if you a man, what is your expertise? This is the age of masters. You just had X on this stage talking about technology and AI. I don't need just a person with information and smarts. I got a machine for that. Do what humans can do. That means I need you to be creative. I need you to be an independent thinker. I need you to know how to organize in abstract ways. This is a time where the world is dependent upon us because creativity is lost. 80% of the internet is just regurgitated information. Facts. There's no color in the world right now.
Facts.
And black people sleep at the wheel. And the greatest time for us to be creatively expressing ourselves, putting infrastructure behind it so that everybody floods over here to us. So are we ready to wake up?
Yeah.
It don't sound like it.
Come on.
We ready to wake up?
Yeah.
My brother, can you give us a breakdown about a spiritual awakening, right, from a cellular level? Right, I heard you talking about light bodies and electrical bodies and the fascia of the body. Can we get into that a little bit?
Yeah.
I know you do a 3-hour breakdown.
I'm gonna break it down in 5 minutes, man.
Yes,
2 minutes.
sir. Yes, sir.
But no, you know, some of it, people call it the Kundalini rising, the rising of the Brahma, the spirit. We all got it in us, the raising of the Christos. And it's basically taking breath and using breath in a way, I call it conscious breathing. You can do this just by consciously breathing, because we know that 80% of the so-called African American is even breathing incorrectly. Not only do we not know how to breathe correctly, we also ingest and digest our food incorrectly too. We don't even super chew our food. But back to the breath. He said that spirit means breath. So when you look at spirituality or mastering spirituality, that is one that who know how to master their breath. If you can breathe the correct way, which is breathing in through your nasal passage and exhaling through your mouth or your nasal passage, you're actually using something called the diaphragmatic muscle to breathe. Well, right behind this diaphragmatic muscle is something called the cisterna and this is a big old lymph node that actually detoxifies the body and kick on a hormone called glutathione, which detoxifies and open up what you would call NRF2 pathways or metabolic pathways of the body. This is how you detoxify. You are already spiritually wired to be spiritual and to expand in spirituality. What's stopping you from rising in your spirituality is that you need to detoxify your body of all the toxins and pollutants from the environment and from the information and from the Wi-Fi and from all the EMF frequencies that they are permeating in your body. I'm talking about trillions of them every second of the day. So if you detoxify naturally and you start eating the right foods and you start getting the right breath and you start stretching, how many people know that stretching actually unlock memories? Because you can get memories and different types of hormones and stuff caught up in your hips. How many men can't even stretch their hips properly? And you start seeing all of these hip mobility exercises. You start seeing all these stretching out the fascia, which is another nervous system that ain't nobody talking about. You see what I'm saying? So just by getting into what the elders used to do, which is breathing, fasting, intermittent fasting, eating 1 time a day, eating your fruits and your vegetables, getting out in the sun, going back to nature, which is what we was talking about in the beginning, is what will give you your spiritual awakening. You are already a spiritual being. You cannot separate the spirit from the body. There's no such thing as that. If you astro travel right now, you're in the astro body.
Come on.
If you dreaming right now, you're still in a body.
Take
so
'em
any
there.
dimension of density you go to, there's a body to match that dimension to hold your consciousness. So you are already spiritual. What's stopping you from experiencing that is what you're experiencing in your environment, which is polluting your tissues and your blood. And we know that life or oxygen or spirit is in what? The blood. So look, get on some blood cleansers, get in nature, drink more water, hydrate yourself, eat more foods that's grown from nature, get away from the ultra processed foods, and you will see your spiritual awakening just by changing my diet, y'all.
I'm 19 keys, and this is high level conversation. Library.
When do you feel you're at your highest self?
I feel like I'm at my highest self when I've been consistent. All of my personal training, working out, properly, taking care of nutrition, reading and, keeping up with, your own mental growth.
Starting my mornings with meditating. When I go on a juice cleanse and I just have all of this energy, also saying my affirmations every day, that's what keeps me going and lifted.
I feel like I'm at my highest self when I'm in my flow. And that means doing things from a place of creativity and passion. Make sure that I always journal every day and that I have at least 3 things that I'm grateful for that have nothing to do with my accomplishments.
This is
This is
the high level quote.
Are we low level